Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Kirsten.
How's it going today?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hi to everybody out there.
Welcome to our first episode of Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten.
So we wanted to, since our podcast is brand new, first of all, if you're listening, thank you very much. And second of all, just wanted to kind of talk about why we're doing this podcast, what wellness means to us, and kind of leave it open to feedback from you guys because we are starting this podcast for a couple reasons. One is our combined knowledge in the area of wellness is like hundreds of years. So we wanted to just kind of share our knowledge with you because we both are coaches. We both get a lot of questions about all these different topics that have to do with wellness. And we just want to share this with you. And also another selfish reason I'm doing this is because Wendy is one of my best friends and we used to see each other quite often, whether it was at races or the indoor tri or our long swims we do or, things like that. And then she moved to Georgia in what year did you move, Wendy?
2016.
Yeah. So it's been almost 10 years. I've seen her a couple times throughout the 10 years, but I miss her. So I figured that we can see each other at least once a week and catch up and share our knowledge with you at the same time.
Yes. Love it.
So what about you, Wendy? What's your reason for doing this podcast?
So I used to do a podcast with my friend Dave from Endurance Hour, and I was the co-host, started again when I moved to Georgia. So probably by 2017, I took over as the co-host and we would meet weekly. He lived in Spokane, Washington. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, we were at opposite ends of the nation, but it was really nice to get together and talk to a friend as I was, I didn't really have much friends in Georgia at the time. So at least I had one that I could rely on. And I just, we stopped doing the podcast last year. So I miss doing podcasts. I miss seeing you. And, we've always stayed connected. You're one person that I've stayed connected to in Colorado. Not many others have I over the years. You just kind of disconnect with your friends when you make a move across the country. So it's nice that we still stay connected. We have so much in common.
Oh my gosh.
From the day we met that year, it was the year we both did the Boulder. 2001, we did a Ironman in Boulder. It was called 5430 Sports Ironman. It wasn't even a World Triathlon Corporation event, but that's kind of how we connected, and we did some training camps together. Again, it's just nice to stay connected to a friend and kind of reunite with our idea of doing a podcast together and with the topic of wellness.
Yeah. And one thing I remember before I met Wendy, so we were both working at gyms, 2 different gyms, doing the same sort of thing, but at separate gyms. Like we both did swim coaching, we both did some personal training, we both did triathlon coaching. Before I met you, Wendy, people would always ask me, do you know Wendy Mader? And I was like, no. And they're like, oh my gosh, she's like you, but like at Fort Collins Club. And I was at the Pulse, which both of those gyms are different things now. But they kept saying like, you have to meet her, you have to meet her, you have to meet her. So it was like, I guess I got to meet this lady. And we were in the same age group in the race. And you got first and I got second, I think.
The whole thing about us being in the same age group as competitors and being in the same general business of coaching, I've never felt insecure by you. I never felt you as a threat.
Right.
Just because we're 2 different people.
Right.
We have 2 different brands. We have 2 different styles of coaching. So it was just kind of cool how we are competitors in our sports and we are competitors in the business, but we've never really been threats to each other.
Right.
We just helped each other out. We always help each other out in our sport as well as in our business.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I feel like we attract different people because even though we have a lot of the same philosophies on wellness, where our approach is different, I think our personalities are so different that we just attract different people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And somebody had told me, so this episode, we are going to talk about, it's the new year. We're going to talk about New Year's resolutions. And I know Wendy and I have different ideas about New Year's resolutions. I actually haven't asked her. I haven't asked you yet, Wendy, what your thoughts are on what we're going to talk about. but I know you well enough that I know they're very different. And I was telling a friend of mine, he was like, oh, what are you guys talking about on your first podcast? And I go, New Year's resolutions. It'll be interesting because Wendy and I each have different opinions about New Year's resolutions. And he was like, oh, that's so cool that you guys can talk about your different opinions on it. And I was like, yeah, I think we agree on so many things, but the way we approach it to so many topics, it's different. But in the end, it's all kind of the same philosophy.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Right. And I think, again, we have our differences, but we understand each other's point of view.
yeah. And we respect each other's point of view completely. So one thing I wanted to just kind of ask you before we get started, because wellness is a super broad topic. Like, I think part of the reason why we picked wellness is because it is so broad. And then we can maybe hone in on something more specific as we go. But I think starting with wellness is a good idea so that we can see where we are helping people the most and where we are connecting the most and where we're resonating in the world of wellness. So what is kind of your general definition of wellness and what does that include for you?
Well, I think that's a really good question because I got my master's degree in wellness management from Colorado State University in 1999. And while I was in that program, I initially went into the program in exercise physiology, sports concentration. But for some reason, I didn't get accepted into that concentration. And I didn't really know it my first year. And I decided I don't really want to do sports physiology because I don't want to be the scientist. I don't want to be in a lab setting. I still was kind of unsure what I was doing. I just knew I loved what I was doing. And I was so happy to be getting a master's degree that I had no idea I was going to do with it. So I ended up following the wellness management route and I did this project on stress management. So I'm like, okay, is wellness all about stress management? I think a lot of people, myself included, thought wellness had to do with fitness and nutrition.
Right.
And, just over the years, I think I was very new into wellness and I actually did my master's thesis on eating, training, and prevalence of disordered eating among triathletes, which was nutritional related, but it's also mental health related. So I think wellness, as an umbrella encompasses anything from dental hygiene, going to the skin doctor, dermatologist, getting your eyes checked, going for your annual physical with your primary doctor, as well as stress management, health, fitness, and sport, which was the reason I started my company as health, fitness, and sport, because you have to be healthy, blood pressure, heart health, to be able to build fitness. You want to be able to build fitness so you can perform in your sport. So that's T2 coaching, health, fitness, and sport. So it just kind of encompasses a wide range of ideas and things, but it's all about personal development, emotional health, intellectual health, physical health. I think I said emotional health. So there's just a lot of areas under the word wellness in my mind.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I define wellness pretty much exactly the same. It encompasses physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, stress management, sleep, all those things. So just like kind of a whole body approach to it.
Well, and again, one thing impacts each other.
Yes.
If you don't get enough sleep, then your physical, mental, and emotional health are going to suffer the next day.
Right.
And if you don't eat well, whole foods within your macronutrients, within your calories, whether you lose weight or gain weight, that impacts your emotional health. So all the stuff, again, if you hone in, it's all about the emotional health, doing things well, living a well life to keep your emotional health vibrant and happy.
Right. And the only thing I would add to all of what we've said is, since everyone is so different, I think it's anything that contributes to our fulfillment and happiness in life is wellness. So it could be maybe one of you out there listening has something else that is really important to you that we didn't mention, but it fulfills you, like service. We didn't mention service, but service is part of wellness because that's something that fulfills you, fulfills me, fulfills most people. And anything that can help you lead happier, healthier, more fulfilling life that you love, I feel like is under that wellness umbrella.
Yeah,
for sure. So with that in mind, we could talk about pretty much anything we want. So if you guys have some topics that you're really interested in exploring, especially, it's a new year and we'll talk about that in a minute, but I love a new year for, starting something fresh, something new. So let us know what topics you're most interested in exploring, learning about, even sharing with us that have to do with wellness. So another thing we wanted to do each week is I want to hear Wendy's. I want to share one wellness win from the week. So again, it can encompass any of these areas that we feel like was really great in our lives from the last week. So it's kind of like sharing something really great that happened. And I want to hear Wendy's, but I also want to hear your guys's. So we're going to remind you each week, we would love to hear your wellness win for the week. And again, it's whatever area of wellness that maybe you're working on, or maybe something unexpected that happened. So Wendy, what is your wellness win from the last week?
I am working with a business coach.
Oh, that's
And
exciting.
I've been kind of a lurker for a year. I met her June of 2023 when my business was kind of going out of business, and for many reasons. And I've kind of been following this coach, and I decided I've saved my money to invest in my business, and I am as excited as I was when I hired my first triathlon coach in 2008.
Oh, that's
So it's a
awesome.
huge win because I want to be productive. I want to make sure I'm doing things right with marketing and Instagram and using Canva to create designs and tools. And I just don't want to waste my time anymore. I want to make sure I'm on the right track. So I'm invested in it. I'm excited.
Yay. Did you already start working with the coach?
Yeah, I actually committed on Monday.
Okay.
I've been in she's got two levels of coaching, and I've been in this lower level of it for 3 months, and I decided I'm more advanced than this. I need to get to the level where I'm at. And
Right.
so yeah, it's exciting.
Oh, that is exciting.
And what's yours?
My wellness win for the week is actually starting this podcast. And it's because I have been wanting to do a podcast for at least 10 years.
I love
So,
it.
like, I mean, I thought about it at least 10 years ago of wanting to do a podcast. I didn't know what I wanted to look like. I didn't know if I wanted to do it on my own, interviewing somebody or doing it joint with somebody. And what was really holding me back was the technology, the knowledge of how to do it, how to get it out there. I'm not afraid of talking in front of people or answering questions. I love that part of it. I work with clients constantly. So this is stuff I just talk about on a daily basis anyway, but something was holding me back to actually start it. So the last 2 months, I've been working on some chakra. I learned it's called chakra, not chakra. I just learned that recently. So that's going to be a weird habit, but I started doing some chakra healing, and I'm actually right now on the throat chakra. So this is perfect training for me to get my voice out there and to be brave and just do it. And that actually and Wendy and I talked about this in the past, but one of the things that we are both, I think, good at, is something we're both good at, is we kind of have a high risk tolerance, and we're not afraid to just mess up or just start without knowing anything. And I see that in Wendy, and I see that in myself, that this has served us over time, because we usually we get ahead in business for everything else, because we're not afraid to just jump in and learn along the way.
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like,
I think perfection is overrated.
yes. Yeah. And I think both of us have been in that perfectionism place in our younger lives. And we both learned that it's not beneficial. And so, because I know we have kind of similar backgrounds with being high level athletes and eating disorder and stuff like that. And I think that falls a lot in that perfectionist thing that we both evolved and grown from.
Yep.
So with that, just a little peek behind the curtain is Wendy and I have been trying to get this microphone, video, whatever, I think this is like our fourth or fifth time giving it a try, and who knows how it's going to work. We'll probably be evolving every single week recording, is what I would imagine.
Of course, that's our personality.
Yeah. And we kind of laughed at each other and ourselves about it. We're like, yeah, we suck at technology. We'll figure it out at some point, but let's just do it anyway.
Yep.
So, well, yay. Let's talk about our main topic, which is New Year's resolution. So happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So tell us a little bit about your thoughts on New Year's resolutions, the new year, like just all that hoopla surrounding that.
So I think in my younger self, I used to fall victim to New Year's resolutions. And as I've grown and developed my own personality and my own philosophies New Year's resolutions are very similar to like New Year's goals. But I think the biggest difference is the resolutions is usually like an aspirational commitment to improve your life, whether it's, a lot of people make the weight loss goals, to eat better, to lose X amount of weight, blah, 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 and it's definitely has to do with self-improvement, personal growth. But but then the goals are the same way. A lot of us will set, going from a fitness perspective, because I'm a fitness coach, fitness goals, performance goals. In the new year, I want to do an Ironman. In the new year, I want to do my first triathlon. In the new year, I want to do my first 5K or first marathon. And then to me, that's more goal oriented because that gets you down to more something specific you want to do. And usually there's a date involved in a goal, like doing a certain event, and it becomes more goal oriented and less resolution oriented. I think resolutions don't necessarily always have a time frame attached to it. And traditionally, there's studies out there that say, 80% of Americans who set a resolution, they fail, quote unquote, fail within the first 2 months. And so that's kind of how I think about resolutions, that people set them and end up quitting. Whereas if they set a goal, and it's just a terminology, it's just a definition. When they set a goal, they're more likely to attain it rather than setting a resolution. And I also don't think you need to wait a certain time, like January 1st or December 31st or your birthday, or, you don't have to wait till Christmas time to give gifts. You should give a gift of whatever you're giving a gift to anytime you want. You shouldn't have to wait till a certain day of the year to be able to do that. And so I think people should just think more about setting those with acronyms, SMART goals: specific, measurable, realistic, attainable, and there's a timeline attached to a goal, as well as what happens after they achieve that goal. And again, resolution and goal are usually mixed up in terminology, but you always be prepared to say, okay, once I reach my goal or resolution, what comes next? You don't just want to be like, stop and say, I reached my Ironman finish or I reached my weight loss goal. What happens next? And always be thinking in the future, what happens in the next 1, 3, 5 years? That's more goal oriented than I want a resolution to set in the next 1, 3, or 5 years.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned that you don't need a date to start, because I knew you were going to say that, even though we didn't talk about this, because I agree with you in the goal resolution, kind of use them interchangeably. Set your goal, set your resolution. But where we differ is that having a specific start date. And so that's what I knew we would be different on that, because I know you well enough to know that that's how you think. And I'm the exact opposite. I love a given start date. I love a Monday. I love a first day of the month. I love give me a start date, a full moon, a new moon, my birthday, New Year's Day. I live for those things. And I don't know why. I don't know what the difference between our trajectory or our past or whatever that make that so different. But I get really excited. I prepare for January 1st. And every once in a while, a January 1st is on a Monday. And I'm new week, new one, all on this all at once. So I really, I do love I guess maybe it gives me permission to start, or gives me more structure to start. But yeah, I know Wendy's going to be like, you don't need January 1st to start.
But I also understand your perspective.
Yeah.
And that's a reason why, as through my coaching is I always start where the athlete is.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are the same way. They are like, okay, I'm going to blow off the last 2 weeks of the year. I'm going to blow off and eat anything I
Right.
want. I'm not going to work out. I'm going to start over in January. If that's what gets you going and if that's what's motivating to you, yeah, go for it. Everyone's different,
Yeah.
and you just got to treat people and respect where they are and what's going to drive them moving forward to better wellness.
Right. 100%. So do you have any New Year's resolutions or goals for the new year?
No, I'm very present. Like honestly, I don't know I know I'm going to run some races. I know I have time goals that I want to achieve in certain races, but I'm very present. I have this conversation with my husband a lot because the future motivates him of what he does in the present.
Right.
To me,
That's how I am.
what is it? To me, that what I do in the present day motivates my future. So
Right.
I live in the present. I don't think too far ahead in the future. I have the vision. I know what I need to do to get to where I envision myself with my health, wellness, sport, and my business and family values and friends and stuff I want to do. But I'm still focusing on what I need to do today to get to be where I need to be, tomorrow or the next day or the next week.
Right.
So, and I changed my mind. Like to me, oh my gosh, if I say I'm going to do something and I change my mind, someone might
You're
lash out at
failed.
me and say, well, you
Yeah.
said you were going to do this and you didn't do it. I'm like, okay, so what? You
You're
know,
yeah.
and I say this assuming that has happened to me in the past, but I can't think of anything specific
Right.
that I've changed my mind and someone called me on it and they turned it into like something negative or an argument or confrontation or something.
Right.
Well, for the most part, and I'm not afraid to sharing big dreams and being, like you say, be brave and share. That doesn't bother me at all. I just don't know what those are yet.
Right.
And I'm not afraid. Afraid to fail forward. I'm not afraid of failure. I was listening to a webinar today about listing all, what if you had no fear, what would happen? And I'm like,
You're
at
like
the
the
moment,
same
I'm like,
thing.
I
Let's
just
do it.
don't have, yeah, I don't have a fear in my business right now. Like nothing is scary to me right now
Right.
with my business or my sport. And
Right.
so that feels really amazing and freeing that the sky's the limit as long as I have the tools to know what I need to do. I need to do A, B, and C to get to X, Y, and Z.
Right.
But I
Right.
don't have any fear of failures. I
Right.
haven't in a long time.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
And I also know everything I've learned has been caused by failures. So
Right.
all my failures in the past have led to where I am in the present. And that's not a bad thing at all.
Right. Yeah. I'm the same exact way right now. And I have been for years too, where I'm, I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and there is, the personal growth stuff. They're always like, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And I'm like, kind of exactly what I'm doing anyway. Like, because I don't care if I fail.
Failure's not a bad thing to me.
Yeah.
And there's always, I think people present the word failure as something that's so horrible.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, cool, bring it on. If
Right.
it wasn't for my failures, the quote, if it wasn't for my failures, I wouldn't have had so much success.
Right. Right. And I feel like our failures teach us so much. Like success is, you're like, "Ooh, that was awesome." But you're like, if someone's like, what did you learn from that success? You're like, maybe one or two things. Whereas if you have a failure and someone's like, what did you learn from this failure? You're like, you have so
Right,
many
right,
things.
right.
So I'm currently doing jujitsu. If anyone out there has no idea what jujitsu is, I had no idea what it was. um, it's a martial arts. It's a self-defense martial arts. You do a lot of grappling, like rolling around with people on a mat. And that is the most furthest outside my comfort zone I've ever done in my life. Like even like people are like, oh, well, when you started triathlon, you weren't that good at, because I was like, God, I suck at jujitsu. And, people are like, oh, when you started triathlon, you were just a beginner. I'm like, yeah, but I was already a swimmer. Biking and running, they don't take a lot of like you can just start biking and running without any knowledge, really. And so I started jujitsu about 2 months ago. I go 3 times a week and I'm still horrible at it. And there has not been a single time that I have left jujitsu without either crying or getting choked up. Like there's something about it that is like, makes me feel like a total failure. Like I can't, it's so challenging. Like they'll show us a new something. I don't even know what things are called, but they'll show us a new something and we practice it. And I'm going so slow because I'm like, wait, I don't remember. Do I put my right arm over your neck or like my elbow into your, like we're doing a chokehold? I don't know. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I cannot get this. I'm so bad at this. And I either feel bad because somebody's my partner and they don't get their good workout for the day because I'm like, can't figure out what I'm even doing, or I don't know, it triggers something. So I always either am about to cry or like I get in my car and start crying. So I think like a success will be the first day that I leave jujitsu without needing or wanting to cry.
And like times like that for me are like, okay, I get more motivated to go back.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't get the move right. I didn't get the terminology right. My partner was kind of pissed off at me because I didn't do my homework, whatever. And then I'm like, okay, let's get it right. What do I need to do to get it right next time? All those Ironmans where I've struggled and suffered is usually nutritional or pacing. I'm like, okay,
Right.
give me another chance. I'll drink more. I'll eat more. I'll start off slower. I want another chance to try to master this event or this distance or this speed or whatever it is. And those failures is actually what drives me to continue doing the things I do.
Right. And I feel like one of the things that keeps me going back is I want to like conquer this feeling of unworthiness or whatever it is that's causing me so much angst, because I don't have that I kind of have it as a mom. I think everyone, like mothers out there, I feel like there's all a part of us that feel like we have no idea what we're doing. And then it's like, I want to get this right, but I'm never going to get it right. And so I feel like it's that same feeling, like this is teaching me something that I don't know what it is yet, but I want to learn. I want to figure out why am I drawn to this, even though it's like so hard emotionally.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's something. So what would you give like for New Year's for people listening? Let's say they're like, my life, I'm miserable right now, or 2024 sucked, or all these things happen. What are maybe a handful of actionable steps or something that somebody could do right away to start their new year off?
Well, based on your example, I'd say, well, go back to a time in your life where life didn't suck. A lot of times when people's life would suck, maybe they got out of a bad relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, divorce. Maybe they hit rock bottom financially and they had to go bankrupt. Maybe they got an injury. I mean, I broke my knee in 2023, but I never let that, I won my knee injury. I never wanted my knee injury to beat me, prevent me from doing the things I love to do. And so I have that competitive nature to always, when I'm feeling down or something's bothering me, I go back to moments where I had clarity and life was good. So that's what I would recommend most people do is go back, if you really want to start over, go back to the place where you want to go.
Yeah.
And remember what you did to get to be in that better place that you've been before. I think that's really helpful. Also, I'm very big on visualization for whatever aspect of your life, whether it's health, finances, relationships, sport. Visualize where you want to be, and when you, again, going back to that timeline, when do you want to be there? And what are the action steps that you need to take to be there? Sometimes you got to do the things you don't want to do to get to do the things that you want to do. And there's going to be hardship in any aspect of life. Also, getting some sort of accountability partner, friend, family, business partner, performance coach. Maybe they're not telling you what to do, but express where you're at with someone so they can support you emotionally on your journey, I think is very helpful in most cases. And whether you're in a good place in your life or a bad place in your life currently right now, just remind yourself it's temporary. Focus on the things you can do, again, to get to do the things that you want to do, and have that SMART acronym, be specific, make sure it's realistic, and set that timeline of getting to do the thing you want to do, whether it's like that resolution or goal, same thing.
I really like what you said about the go back to a time when you were happy or where you did feel like that. Because I'm sure you get this a lot too with people who come to us to help them lose weight. And they're like, I want to lose 30 pounds. My first question I ask, I like to know why they want to lose weight because I think it's valuable to know why you want to do something. But one of the first questions I ask is, when were you last at that weight? So somebody weighs 160, they want to weigh 130. I say, when was the last time you weighed 130 pounds? And I've had people say to me, oh, I've never weighed that. I've never weighed 130 pounds as an adult. And I'm like, but it kind of puts in perspective of like, how realistic is this?
Yeah.
But a lot of times they'll say like 9 years ago or whatever. And I'm like, well, what were you doing 9 years ago? Oh, I was doing, this workout, eating this way, doing that, they kind of answer their own question when you take them back to what were you doing to be in the place where you want to be now? Because it's not going to happen unless you're actively working to make it happen.
Right. And usually when, again, going back to the coaching business, an athlete asks me a question, I'll ask them 5 more to really get to know the context of why they're asking the question. Again, the resolutions and the weight loss is so high on most people's list. If you were 30 pounds lighter, 10 years ago, especially if you're a female, if you were 30 years old and now you're 40 years old, things happen hormonally, perimenopause,
or
menopause,
pre-kids,
post-kids. And so there's more to weight loss than just calories in, calories out. That's an important component of weight loss, but genetics, hormones, metabolism. I mean, there's just so much involved in weight loss. I kind of cringe every year when it's all out on the internet and all the marketing is on weight loss goals. And I'm like, oh, Christ, but that's just the way things are.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I ask people when they say like, oh, I want to lose 30 pounds. I say, why do you want to lose it? Because when you, like you said, when you ask a bunch of questions, you might actually get down to, they don't want to lose 30 pounds. They want to feel a certain way, or they want to look a certain way in their clothes, or they want to be able to run a certain speed they want to do something that they did at that weight, but it might not have anything to do with that weight.
Exactly.
So exploring, I like that a lot. One thing I like to do for myself and when I do like life type coaching for people is I have them, and you mentioned this for yourself, is what you want 1 year, 3 year, 5 years out. So and a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't even know what they want. So how are they going to know to get there? So one thing that I do for myself every year, every New Year's, I write out kind of a 5-year vision. Like, what would I love my life to look like in 5 years? And then as some actionable steps, there's a lot of ways to break that down, but what is one thing I can do today to move toward that? And it could be a really simple thing like drink enough water or get 8 hours of sleep. It could be something so simple that you're just tweaking a little bit, but knowing that this is going to move you toward the life that you want to create in 5 years. I think it's more motivating to do these things that are hard. Like, it's hard to go to bed early if you have 100 things to do. But if you know that going to bed early is going to make you healthier, give you more energy, make you more productive the next day, make the bags go away under your eyes, make you have more energy to work out, those are all going to move you toward that life you want. So then it's easier to make that decision to go to bed early.
Yep. And something you had said is it's important to set those small goals or smaller objectives along the way so you can celebrate success. Because sometimes if you set this big goal, I want to lose 30 pounds or I want to do an Ironman, and you've never done it before, celebrate those wins when you lose a pound or lose 5 pounds. That's very successful because that's a check that you have to achieve to lose 30 pounds.
Right.
Set those small goals to get to an Ironman where you ran a 5K, then you ran a 10K, then you ran a half marathon, or you rode 30 minutes and rode 3 hours and rode 5 hours. Celebrate those small wins along the way because that keeps you motivated. Because sometimes the big goal being out there and so far in the future could be hard to grasp your mind around.
Yeah.
Especially if you've never done it. Sometimes when you're going for something that you've never done, you'll never know how successful you will be or how prepared you were until you cross the finish line, until you get to that measurable outcome that you set.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So starting to wrap up a little bit, and I'm going to ask you this, and then I need to go get a charger because I'm not used to, if my phone's about to die.
Okay.
See, and we're always learning, right? What are you most excited about for this upcoming week?
What am I most excited about for this upcoming week? Just getting through the holidays. It's a small, it's a calm time for me. The holidays are always a calm time for me, and just kind of enjoying it, enjoying time with family and friends, and relaxing and re-energizing myself. Again, getting ready for the new year. The new year always brings chaos. The new year always brings chaos for most people. It doesn't have to. Again, chaos is in the mind of the beholder.
Right.
The new year doesn't bring as much chaos for me like it used to because I primarily work from home and I'm not a personal trainer anymore and I don't have that type of clientele. But there's always this mindset, and I have this mindset that the new year is going to be a lot of chaos, know? So it's just really dialing in the things I need to dial in. Like I said, I'm working with a business coach and just kind of enjoying this calm before the storm.
Right.
And looking forward to the storm that I create.
Right. It's really interesting that you said that because I feel like it's so true that we get to decide how we feel about any situation. And just because it's hectic for someone else doesn't mean it has to be hectic for you. And a perfect example is you just said, I'm really looking forward to the holidays because they're so calm. And if you think about the majority of people, the holidays are super hectic. So
yeah,
it's awesome, to just realize, because sometimes I feel like how my life is how everyone's life is, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. So everyone is probably so busy, or I'm really stressed out about the holidays. So I'm sure everyone is stressed out about the holidays. So you saying that I'm really looking forward to holidays because it's so relaxing is very eye-opening for, I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, wow, there are people that are relaxed during the holidays.
Well, something you just said reminded me. Also, I have friends or potential future clients that say, oh, I know you must be really busy. Do you have time for a phone call? And my first thought is, don't tell me you think how busy I am. You have no idea how busy or not busy I am. I'm as busy as I want to be.
Right.
I'm busy doing the things I enjoy. I'm busy because maybe I got to enjoy a 3-hour trail run and that sucked up 4 hours of my day because it took me a half hour to get there, a half hour to get home, and I was on the trail for 3 hours. Or I went out to a meal afterwards, and that added, that took more time away from me working on my business or me working on an athlete's training plan. But when athletes or someone just makes this assumption of you must be busy, I think that's great because some days I'm more busy than others, but at the same time, I'm usually busy because it's what I decided to add into my day that day, which I'm so fortunate that I have created this lifestyle where I, for the most part, control what happens in my day.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting because the busy thing, since I do a lot of overall life coaching, the busy thing is a constant. It's because people are like, oh, I want to add this, this, and this. And I was like, well, can you fit this, this, and this in your schedule? Oh, no. Well, we all only have 24 hours in a day. And I know you believe this as well, but we are busy only to the extent that, like you said, we want to be busy and we can make time for anything that's a priority. Everyone can. So if you're too busy to do something that you say is a priority, in my opinion, it's time to redefine your priorities and relook at your priorities.
Yeah, and I was not always like this. I mean, there was a time when I lived in Colorado that every minute of every day from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. was scheduled.
Right.
Like I get the 10 to 12-hour days. Like I've been there, done that. And my husband's a nurse. Like I get that type of nursing schedule, and I get a lot. I've worked with emergency room physicians. I've worked with so many different athletes with so many different jobs and career
Right.
paths. So I feel like I really can relate to a lot of people who are busy in
Right.
different ways, because I didn't have a car. I was commuting on a mountain bike with 5 feet of snow, 5 feet, 10 feet of
Right.
snow
I
when I didn't
remember
have
those
a
days.
car, and I was financially unstable. I mean, I've had a lot of stresses in my life
Right.
that I decided I don't want my life to be that way anymore. And so
Right.
I made changes. You hear so many people's success stories of being rock bottom and digging their way out from rock bottom. And that's where I feel like I've been at rock bottom in my life multiple times. And I've been able to figure out how to get out.
Right. I remember when you were riding your bike, towing like a bunch of stuff. Maybe it was for the indoor try, and you
Uh-huh.
crashed,
And
or like you
I
got
almost
hit
broke
by
my
a
rib.
car. Yeah.
Yeah, the fork broke on my bike.
Oh
The
yeah.
fork broke and I went over and I bruised my rib or cracked my rib.
I
And I
remember.
had to withdraw from some races because I was so injured from that.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop me. I mean, I had to make it to the triathlon.
Yeah.
But after that, I was in really bad
I
shape.
remember that. I
I
remember
probably
that.
had backpack. I was carrying things on my handlebars. I had a
You
bob
had
or
like a
a
trailer.
cart behind me.
Yeah. Those are the good old days. So yeah, anything else that you wanted to mention before we say goodbye to everybody?
No, I'm just excited for people to tune in and ask questions. They can get
Oh,
a hold of
quick.
us on, social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, email, to put in some questions. I'm working on a voicemail. I forgot to check in on my voicemail called SpeakPipe that I used to use
Oh
on the
yeah,
old
yeah, yeah.
podcast and in our Facebook group. So we have so many ways for you guys to get in touch with us, because we definitely want to serve you and answer your questions. And at the same time, we know what questions you have, even if you haven't asked them. We will
Yeah.
respond to them.
Right. I just remembered we are going to do a segment on we're going to answer listeners' questions each time, so we can just start that next week.
Yes.
Well, and so yeah, what Wendy said is 100% true, is that you guys know how to get a hold of us. We're very easily accessible. We both have really large Facebook groups. We're both on social media a lot. We both have pretty open communication systems through email. Most people know my phone number, and if you want to text me and I am available, which I am a lot of times, unless I'm sleeping or swimming or hanging out with my daughter, then I will answer your questions. So definitely send us the questions you want us to talk about. If you have a specific question, we'll do a listener question every single week. We'll each come with 1 to 2, depending on how extensive they are, and we'll answer those questions for you. And I would say, in the meantime, please let us know how we can best serve you, because that's
Yes.
what, I mean, Wendy and I, we like talking to each other. Like, this is the most we've gotten to talk. Wendy and I text quite a bit, but we rarely, I think the last time we talked on the phone was when I was pregnant. Remember, I called.
We had just gotten our Whole Foods Thanksgiving meal the day before Thanksgiving, or we were on our way to Whole Foods, and you called me and told me you were pregnant, and Dawn was with me, and it was just such a surreal thing to say to me.
I know, because to put in some context for those of you who don't know me, I got surprised pregnant when I was 45 years old, and I had previously, before this, been married for 21 years, and my husband and I did not want children. So anybody who had known me for any length of time knew that I was married for a long time. We didn't want kids, and that was that. So I got divorced in 2017 and found out later that year that I was pregnant. And so it was kind of fun telling my friends, because they were all pretty shocked.
And then you found out, a little side note, you found out later that you were actually pregnant when you did the Ironman.
Yeah. So yeah, I
So
found
your
out
baby Cora did an Ironman with you.
she did, because the Ironman was, I think, the 11th or the 14th. It was either the 11th or the 14th of October, whatever that year was in 2017. And then when I found out I was pregnant, I found out in November that I was 8 weeks pregnant or 9 weeks pregnant when I found out.
Yeah.
So I'd gotten pregnant at the beginning of October. So little speck of a Cora did the Hawaii Ironman.
I can't wait till she's old enough to understand what that means.
I know. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do the Ironman last year, so that she could be a part of it and be there with me. And so she got to experience all that, which sure we'll talk about at some point, because it was the first all women's world championships in Kona, and it was quite amazing. So that'll be a different topic for a different day. All right. Anything else?
No.
No. All right. Well, we will see you guys next week, and I'll see you soon, Wendy.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.